Hi, welcome to the MomTalk podcast. I'm Beth.
And I'm Andrea from the Smart Social team.
So Andrea, the Super Bowl is coming up this weekend. Do you guys watch football?
We do watch football, yes. My son and my husband do fantasy football every year. And this is the first year my 12-year-old has really gotten into it. And his team didn't make it in, but we're still excited to watch.
My home team didn't even come close. So we'll watch it for the commercials. Recently, we've been watching a documentary about Tom Brady. So I've gotten a little bit more into football, but knowing he's not playing either, I don't have a lot invested in the actual game. Do you have a favorite Super Bowl commercial from the past?
Oh man, I do actually. There was this one, I think it was Volkswagen, and there was this adorable little boy, and he was dressed as Darth Vader, and he kept going around his house trying to use the force, like trying to open doors and do all these different things using the force. And obviously it wasn't working. And he goes out to his mom's car and he stands there and he tries to use the force on it. And I think it was his mom from inside the house, used the remote start, and it just started, and he was just so excited. And I can just completely see a child actually doing that. And so it was great.
That is cute. There's a lot of creative ads out there. I have a background in marketing, and I teach some classes about marketing, and that is one of the top topics that we always talk about is how do these people come up with such creative ideas? I read something this week about how advertising in general, especially for these big ticket events, has gone from the advertisement just used to be the end product that a marketer would create, right? They do all the research before, they know what messages they want to put out, they know what they want consumers to do after they see that advertisement. That's almost kind of the end of their job. Well, now they say their job continues even farther because it's no longer just buying the product that is the desired outcome from the advertisement. Mm-hmm. So many ads that we see are immersive, and they want us to get involved. They want us to have a discussion and to build a community about a product. I don't think most of that would happen without social media. So I'm just curious what we're going to see this weekend in those ads and how we're all going to interact with these products and how they're going to encourage us to jump on social media and share a hashtag or share a story.
Well, it'll be interesting because yes, everyone loves to watch the Super Bowl commercials. What do you normally do if you're watching a live show when the commercial hits? You pick up your phone and you're either scrolling or you're searching, researching something, and then you put it back down when the show comes back on. I'm sure there will be a lot of moments to interact, like you said.
All the time, something funny happens and it almost seems immediate that somebody has created a meme about it. And it's just funny how quickly things happen today with social media. So Super Bowl will be fun. I like food and making fun drinks for it and just having an excuse to sit down all together. Because even though we're all watching something on the TV and it's more screen time in our days, we're all there doing it together.
I'm looking forward to it.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. Each week, we help parents and educators keep students safe on social media so they can someday shine online. Make sure you join our newsletter to get the most up-to-date social media alerts at smartsocial.com/newsletter. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we send out the latest social media app resources that help parents and educators to navigate this challenging landscape with their students. Now let's get to the program.
Beth, have you been working on anything interesting?
Yeah, this project has actually lasted a couple of weeks. We talked about it, I think, in our very first MomTalk podcast, that we had to order a brand new Android phone for our company work because in general, you and I work on Apple phones. But we know that so many people, especially younger kids, are on Android devices because the cost to get into a new Android device is a little bit less than an Apple device. I think in general, we saw statistics that the older the kids are, the more likely they're going to be on Apple for many different reasons. But for parents just starting out, that Android and that low price point they're pretty tempting. So we've been working on this for the last few weeks. The Android came. It took me a little bit of time to figure out where the menus are and how to set it up and how to open things and close things. I had an Android a long time ago, so it really was like learning a bike that I remembered how to do it. It's just not as ingrained as it is on my Apple. But what we really spent a lot of time on was digging into Android digital well-being. That is the program within Android that gives you some screen time options. So we shared a lot of the Apple screen time options that are part of Apple devices. So this week we really dug into what is on Androids. How can parents or how can users look at the data and understand how a device is being used, how they want it to be used, and how to create good habits. And Android Digital Wellbeing is the program that does that on Androids. Something that I found in doing this research was it's a little bit tricky that when you go into your settings on the phone, you see digital well-being, but part of that menu heading is also parental controls. And I think that is very tempting to just jump right into parental controls. That's really what we're there for. I want to control the phone. I want to control the device and want to be able to do everything on it. Doing the research, parental controls leads you into creating the Google Family Link account. And my personal advice is if you're just starting on an Android phone with your kids, start with digital well-being. So the downside of digital well-being is that it has to be set up on the individual device. So you can't control it from the parent's phone. You have to set it all up and see it all on your kid's device, which is fine. There are ways that a kid can get around some of those settings on digital well-being, but overall, I think digital well-being is a great place to start in the reminders that it gives to the user and the reports that it gives you and just the data that it can lead into discussions between the parent and the kid.
That's great.
So just an overview of some of the functions in digital well-being. They have a screen time setting. So you can go in and tap how much overall screen time each day that phone wants to have. You can set specific timers for specific apps, which is really nice that you don't want to just shut the whole phone down. You can say you only have an hour on TikTok or YouTube or whatever it happens to be. So something I think is really interesting in digital well-being is a function called focus mode, and they have two preset that are called work time and me time, and then you could create a third one.
Okay, so you can specify like a certain type of mode that you want to set up for your student?
Yeah, within each of those modes, you set some parameters of what apps are allowed to be used during that time. So I believe you can set timers and days that it turns on or turns off that mode, or you can just start it manually. A lot of people would say for work time, they only allow apps that they would actually use for work. So maybe our kids could use it for school that we only allow certain apps. So like TikTok wouldn't be on there or YouTube wouldn't be on there, just things that they actually need during the day. So it's helping users find the balance between using their phone for what they actually need it for and having fun with it, which is okay sometimes too.
If you set up a specific mode, are phone and messages always allowed, or do you have the option to turn those off?
Yeah, on Android, under those focus modes, phone and messages are always allowed. There is a mode called bedtime, and that grays out your screen and messages and phone are blocked. I believe you can set some emergency contacts that would be let through, but bedtime is really when everything shuts down. So one other thing that's interesting is driving monitor, and that gives users a report of how their phone is being used while they're driving. It doesn't necessarily block anything. It doesn't prevent the user from using the phone, but I think that would be a really interesting discussion that your phone says you were driving at this time, but yet you were also on TikTok at this time. But what's interesting about driving monitor is you can set specific apps like Google Maps that are not included in that report.
Does the student have to manually start the drive monitor every time that they get in the car?
I believe as long as you give the app access to Bluetooth, which is how it knows that you're connected to a car through the Bluetooth, then that data will come up on the driving monitor report.
Very interesting. Maybe that'll also be a good motivator for students to do less multitasking while they're driving.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's just a habit that we need to help teach kids when they're learning to drive overall, is just to not touch their phone. We learned how to drive before the phones existed, and then the phones came in, and we have all been reteaching ourselves how to not text and drive or not use different apps and drive. So I think kids have a real advantage in learning to drive now, that they're just learning that habit to not touch their phone while they're driving, while they're learning to drive. One other thing within Android digital wellbeing as a link for parental controls. Like I said, that goes into the Google Family link, which is a big topic overall. So in this week's guide, we give you a few pointers of how to set that up. We give you a lot of links to Google Family Link of their how-tos and their step-by-step processes. Google Family Link is a big category of what it does and how it works. The benefit of using Google Family Link and not digital well-being is that the parent can control the device from their own phone. So for example, I have an iPhone, I set up Google Family Link and I can control the Android through my iPhone, which is super nice, but it gets really confusing because to have a student set up on Google Family Link, they have to have their own Google account, which a lot of people say, but my kid can't get a Google account until they're 13. Well, you can get it under 13, but it has to be managed by Google Family Link. So it just gets a little confusing when you're working on two different devices, two different accounts, different passwords. It takes a little bit of time to go through the Google Family Link and get it exactly how you want. Parents need to have some idea of what's going on their kids' phones, but we all have to start somewhere. So my recommendation is to just start with digital well-being, start with maybe setting some timers on the apps, and most importantly, just looking at the overall dashboard each day or each week with your student to talk about how they're using their phone, talking about what they need the phone for versus what they want the phone for, and finding that balance between the two.
That sounds great. And it's also good to know that, for the parents and students that have different types of devices, there are still options for the parents to be able to have a little bit more control from their own phone.
Yeah, that is really nice that Google Family Link has the app specifically for the Apple. So you do have to download that app onto your Apple, but overall, it is possible to manage an Android device from an Apple device if you're using Google Family Link. Cool.
Why don't we talk about what's coming up over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, we have a lot scheduled for our content, which is always good. So one thing that we do all the time is watch news clips from around the country to see what's going on. I was looking last night at news and the Benadryl challenge is coming back again.
I don't even know what this one is.
I think it was from Texas that some local teens went to the hospital again. This was a big thing last May. Students were taking an overdosed amount of Benadryl to see what would happen to them. We both shake our heads as moms, as adults, like, what sounds fun about that? Why would somebody want to do that on social media and then share their story about it? There's a lot of people that say that they have funny reactions to it. So that's what's shared on social media, and that's what kids see, and then they want that funny reaction. But most of the time they're not seeing what happened after those 60 seconds or 30 seconds even in the video. It's just kind of scary that we thought maybe this had died off because it was 7 months ago, and yet some cities are still seeing teens go to the hospital for it.
Oh man, that's really scary. I would like to think that kids are smarter than that.
I think in general, our kids are a lot smarter than this, but when it comes to peer pressure in person at school and social media pressure that they want to be online and they want to post something and they want to go viral, that's when they just don't make the right decisions or the best decisions. So I think that's really where at Smart Social, we hope that we are helping parents understand what's going on and what types of conversations to have with our kids. Maybe our kids have never seen the Benadryl challenge on Instagram or TikTok or wherever they're watching the videos, but maybe it's something else. We don't know what's going to come up tomorrow. Just the more we can talk to kids about the dangerous stuff out there and how to make good decisions, I think just overall, they're going to be better on social media and in life as future adults.
You're right.
What are you working on this week, Andrea?
I am starting to do some research on pop-up blockers and ad blockers and, different ways that you can keep the content that you're watching strictly to that content. You don't want your child watching their favorite Pokemon video and then all of a sudden an inappropriate ad pops in. So working on researching on how to get around those.
Awesome. And that tip came from one of our VIP members that they asked, how do I control pop-up blockers at home? It was from a teacher actually, and they said their school has fabulous pop-up blockers in their system. So when the kids are at school on their Chromebooks, they feel pretty protected. And then when they go home and the parents don't have those types of blockers on their Wi-Fi. They see more things than what they would see at school. So then they get curious and may click in places that maybe your kids shouldn't be clicking in, but they don't know better. I think it will be great just to see what options are out there. I think some are free, some are paid, some are better than others, some are just simple downloads that you can always have running in the background. I think others are within how you set up your Wi-Fi in your house. So there are options. We want to give parents different ideas of what they can do and what they can look into.
Yes, because there's a lot of choices for parents to make there. A lot of good choices.
A lot of choices can sometimes make things harder for us too. So we'll give you some recommendations of what we've found. And if you're listening to this podcast or watching us on YouTube, we'd really love to hear from our viewers, hear from our parents, hear from our teachers. What works for you? What have you found helpful in your classrooms or at home? What can you share with other parents? Because really, not all of us have the time to do all the research into all these different technical aspects of our lives. So the more that we can learn from each other and share tips and techniques, the better we'll all be together. Part of that question that we got from the teacher about pop-ups also related to this new trend of horror games. There's one called Poppy Playtime that keeps coming up, and Poppy Playtime, it sounds pretty innocent and it doesn't really look that great. It's a video game from what I've heard, but then kids are talking about it and playing about it. I had started watching a preview about Poppy Playtime and my son happened to be hearing in the background and he said, oh yeah, we played Foursquare Poppy Playtime. I have no idea how kids turn these things into Foursquare, but that's the game on the playground right now for my son. So everything turns into Foursquare something. So it was a good eye-opening for me that even in second grade, he's hearing about some of these things and how it's affecting him, even though he's not even the one playing Poppy Playtime.
I was actually asking my older kids if they had heard anything about it. And my kindergartner popped up and said, oh, so-and-so at school plays that. And I was like, really? Maybe we should have a chat.
Every parent has to make the decisions of what's right for their own kid. But when then it goes to school and they're talking about it around other kids, I just want them to be aware of what it is, because a lot of times if I tell them, no, you can't do this, they're going to find ways around me to figure it out. So I'd rather just have the conversation with them and say, this is what I know about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that is definitely the best way. Just open dialogue, I think, can solve a lot of those issues.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up. Our VIP live event, the first one for this year in February, is coming up. Josh and I have been working really hard on making this an interactive experience for our parents. This month, we're really going to focus on the top question that we see and hear from parents about screen time in general. How do I get my kids to not be so addictive to the screen? How do I make the best use of the time that they are on the screen? So I think we'll talk a lot about screen time. We also know that TikTok is still big, it's still out there. TikTok is starting to label some dangerous challenges or dangerous videos. I saw one the other day that there was an extra little warning at the bottom that this action might be dangerous. So I really want to dig into that and find out what's going on with TikTok more and how they are helping us help our kids understand that not everything they see on the screen is safe.
That's right. Those live events are so great. How do we register for those?
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. We are working on our technology of how to make this the best immersive experience for all of our VIP members. I would say stay tuned to our newsletters every week. We will give you more information about what we're going to cover. And we really hope that you'll bring your kids to this. We want to hear from everybody, parents, teachers, kids. What are your challenges? What do you like about social media? What do maybe adults not quite understand? Kids, we want to hear from you and just hear how you use social media so we can help other adults understand it.
Definitely.
Andrea, are you on TikTok?
I'm not on TikTok. No. Are you?
Oh, well, I only joined last year when I first did my overview of TikTok for smartsocial.com. And I knew it was going to have a good chance of being pretty addictive. I mean, that's what everybody says. So I've had it on my phone. I've deleted it from my phone. I've had it on my phone. I've deleted it on my phone. But one of the great things about that new Android device is that I've put TikTok on that device and that device stays at my desk. So I only use it for work purposes at this point. But the other day when I was looking at it just to see some of those new warnings and what was going on, I could not stop laughing about one post. I hope it's not too early for this. So last year we saw the devious licks social media challenge on TikTok that kids were destroying bathrooms. There's nothing to laugh about what they were doing to school bathrooms. And I know it's still going on in many schools, but a video came up with that hashtag, and the text on the screen said, "Mom did not understand the assignment." And you hear the Devious Licks music in the background, and then the mom walks through. It's a picture of a park. She walks up and licks a picnic table and then walks away. Yeah, Mom, you didn't understand that assignment if you're actually licking something. So I think it's all good humor that Mom may not understand that assignment for Devious Licks. We hope that Mom would watch our Smart Social guide about the bathroom vandalization that was happening and how to talk to kids. But I think it's fun sometimes just to see the humor of maybe we don't always understand. We're trying. Don't lick any tables.
Please don't.
Okay, well, great chatting with you, Andrea.
You too.
Have a great week, and let us know if you have any ideas. If you have any suggestions about pop-up blockers or technology that your school or your family uses, we'd love to hear it. Just find us at smartsocial.com/contact, and one of us will get in touch with you.
Till the next time.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the smartsocial.com podcast with this week's topics from Beth and Andrea. If you enjoyed the MomTalk discussion that we had today about all things social media from a mom's perspective, we invite you to join the smartsocial.com VIP program. As a very informed parent VIP member, you will learn about the dangers and benefits of social media for your kids and get tips every week to keep your family safe online, and most importantly, to teach your students how to shine online. We have over 130 detailed app guides that cover apps like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and 100 plus apps you might not have heard of, but your students may have visited or downloaded. Find out more and join today at smartsocial.com/VIP. Please remember to rate, subscribe, and review so we can continue to help more parents and educators just like you. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. As always, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite. We'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day.